for
quite a
switching
bit.
the day for me.
Yeah, were you out of the country traveling?
I was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we went to Bratislava, Budapest, and Vienna.
Just
I know, it's so random. I love saying that because I'll never get to say that again in my life.
all right, let's talk about number 6.
Number
Did
6, I'll never find my students' college.
Christine, I think that most people worry about that. I think that's probably one of the biggest, along with all the others, one of the biggest driving pain, strain, stressors that parents find. And I think for me, after all these years of being in higher ed, working with my own kids, working with other families, it boils down to one thing. And we've talked about it before. Finding the right school for the right student is just that, for the right student. If you have a student who has 2.0 GPA and they are highly motivated to go to college, not only for the academic development, the personal development, the social development, to meet their spouse or partner for life, then going to college is important. But a 2.0 student is not going to survive in a 4.0 environment, no matter how hard and how successful we might be in getting them there, because it's just not the right environment. Same be said for a 3.5 or a 4.0. So parents need to invest the time, either working with individuals like us or their guidance counselor, or doing it on the DIY with resources to focus in on that. And it takes a great deal of discipline to separate all of the detractors that are out there living next door, in the school parking lot, in the gym, at the ice rink, at the dance studio, and the grocery store line that we listen to as families and parents as we're trying to go through this process. There is a school for every student. I have 2 students right now in my practice. They're seniors. They're very good students. They waited a while. They waited a little longer. And their fear is they're not going to get into college in September. They're already applying and they'll be accepted before they even know it. Because yes, there are schools that are hungry for students, but those schools, even though they're hungry, are very good schools for students to go to. So we have to get away from chasing what we think is the one to chase and find school that really meets the students' needs. So I talk about now more I'm talking about you take your student's GPA and tick it up to and tick it down to. And when I say ticket, I mean add 2 decimal points to it. So a 3.5 is a 3.8, and they're down a little bit to a 3.3. And those are the schools we look for in that student's sweet spot. And we investigate them, we evaluate them. And as for my seniors right now, I'm asking them to answer 5 criterias to select the school, to say yes to the college, not the dress, but yes to the college. 5 criteria. Is this school going to academically challenge you? Is the school going to provide you with the personal safety and environment for you to be successful? So it meets all of your personal needs, whether they're dietary or they're mental or they're others. Okay. Is the school going to be a social environment for you to thrive in? If you're an introvert, if you're in between, or you're an extrovert, what's your social environment that you want to feel comfortable in? Affordability, and is the school going to set you on the track to have an outcome that's going to have you pointed towards a job, a career, or something that's going to provide you with financial security? Not right away. You're not going to make 600 large right out the door. It's going to take you 10 years to get that 600 large, right? Depending upon what you're doing, maybe a little shorter. So you take all of the schools that you've applied to as a senior and you're evaluating them based on those criterias, and you're taking your top 4 horses in the race and you're picking the one that meets all 5. A parent can do that with a freshman or a sophomore or a junior as they start exploring those 5 criterias. The thing is, if I'm a sophomore, a parent of a sophomore, or someone's right now, You can be going on college fairs, going to college visits with your sophomore so that they're seeing how far it is from home, distance wise and size. And we have to be very careful as parents to stand behind the room, listen, and not get too aggressive and not too into the particular schools. But you can start introducing the students to that sort of thing. Bottom line is there is a school for every student if they're motivated to go. But if they're not ready to go, don't be one of the 20 percenters.
Want to talk about the 20 percenters?
20 percenters are the students that go off to college because they feel that they have to, and they come home. They come home after the first semester because it wasn't one of those 5 criterias. At least the top 4 is important. Career takes maybe 3 or 4 years of college to get that going, but it wasn't the right one for a variety of reasons. Their cousins are going to school. Their neighbors, their classmates, their parents are being guided to send the kids to school. The worst case is they come home at Christmas. How you doing? Oh, it's wonderful. A good time. How's classes? Oh, I'm doing very well. They come home in June and they can't go back because they've been told by the school you can't come back. And the sad part of that is we've already spent another $15,000 to $20,000 potentially investing in that second semester. There is nothing more enjoyable than being on a college campus in the spring. Oh my goodness. If I could go back in time in our time warp conversation, I would go back and be a college student permanently.
In the
Okay.
spring. Yeah.
Yeah, the spring. So you don't know until June or May when they're moving out, and you go to pick them up and you expect them just coming out with a couple suitcases because they're going to leave everything else in the campus and they're bringing everything home. So if we're not ready, we don't go. Or we go to community college and we take the bump. We get our associates and we go to a 4-year school. Or we go into the work and we work a little while. We realize we don't want to work. We want to go back to school. And all of that is helping us develop. It's giving a 17 or 18 or 19-year-old the opportunity to experience some of the things that we've been doing for the last 20 years for you, 40 years for me, learning how life is outside of the school system, so to speak. I think that depending upon where you live, and there's always exceptions, the nature of the beast is that we have to really be focused on what's going to be the best thing for our kids and our family and celebrate it.
Very nice. And my only question was, and you already answered it, was the uptick and the how do you search for a school for a 2.0? But you talked about that.
Yeah, there's plenty of tools out there, whether it's Naviance, the school systems that are using the high school system that the schools use, Naviance or SCORE, those are the 2 common ones that I know of. It's using the Department of Ed's College Navigator site. It's taking advantage of some of the other tools out there, web-based tools, to run a search based on the region, the GPA range, and you move forward that way.
And then all the other 5 things, which we're gonna get into the video so that it gets really just super easy for parents to identify.
Yeah, it's super easy to identify. It's super overwhelming if you don't have a plan. And I think
Not
that's
having a plan is a plan to fail.
right. And I say there's about 150 things to do between the junior and the senior year before you go off to school in September. Some of them are very important for parents to be doing themselves. Some of them are very important for everybody to be doing them together. I think the financial side is something that parents need to do with their kids. Okay. How many parents don't talk about finances with their students as they're trying to figure out how we're going to pay for college? Kids know if there's not a lot of money in the house, or if we're eating peanut butter and jelly all the time, and that's fine, but we have to do that. But keep them in the loop too. And as they go off, the same thing. And at some point we can talk about the legal and the medical documents that families need to put together.
Yes, I'm gonna add that to our list.
When students turn 18, the legal system and the medical system consider them adults. And if you don't have things like a form or a power of attorney or another form that colleges use, you can call until you're blue in the face and no one's going to talk to you about your kids.
Mhm.
And there's your kids, right? So that would be a segment we can talk about as we get closer into June, July.
Yeah, sending them off. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
important. It's very important to get those forms signed. And the time to make a lot of these decisions is not when you're in the moment, because if your kid is, God forbid, in a coma, the kid can't sign the form. So you got to make all these decisions before those kinds of things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it means bringing someone else in to have those conversations and help with that, then there's thousands of resources that we have. You and I know people in our area who that's their lane. That's their lane of business. And I get very preachy on the fact that we have to be careful when we're sending kids off to school about the whole alcohol situation. And still, large number of students in the first 45 days of college end up in the emergency room
Mm.
with alcohol poisoning. So, if we can bring some of these things to the forefront and help people, then we're doing a good job.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom. I'm excited that we're knocking through these myths for people to watch and learn from, and we're just going to keep churning them out.
I thank you for the work you're doing behind the scenes to edit and that make them look good. And how do people get a hold of you?
How do people get a hold of me? They can go to my website, essaycure.com. There's lots of ways to contact me from there. I think you can reach out on the Substack. You can leave comments there if you want. If there's something you wish we were talking about that we haven't addressed yet, let us know, because we definitely would take that under advisement and see what we can do. Bring in some guest speakers if it's out of our lane.
Yep. Yep. If you want to talk to me, go to collegejoin.com.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Tom.
All right.